What's up, Collector fam? Guys, thank you guys for tuning into the first episode of the podcast. 2, give some context on today's speaker, even though she is my sister. And 3, guys, just show you guys where we're going to be releasing the episodes and where you guys can find us. So first off, I really want to thank you guys again for tuning into today's podcast. This is a dream come true for me. I've been wanting to do this for a while, and resellers, I couldn't have thought of a better community to do this with. Number 2, Roxy has actually been on Whatnot now for 3 years. She's been reselling for about 15. And I chose Roxy because she has about 10,000 sales on Whatnot. She is hitting a 6-figure income doing this as a part-time gig. And not only that, she's a breadth of knowledge when it comes to a lot of parts of reselling because she's been on multiple platforms. And now she's actually about to transition to a full-time role as a boutique. The last thing I wanted to say, guys, we're going to be on YouTube and Spotify under the Thrift Talk podcast. And TikTok and Instagram is where we're going to put our highlights out. So I really do appreciate the hell out of you guys. Every single one of our guests are people that are real entrepreneurs, people that are making substantial income, doing this as a passion, a hustle, and have really done something that is to learn from. So I hope you guys enjoy. Shop with Roxy she's the best. You're going to have a great time tonight. And yeah, thank you so much for tuning in. What's up, guys? This is Joe the Collector. Welcome to the first episode of Tea Talk. I am so excited to have my first guest on the podcast, my sister, the person who got me into this in the first place. I am learning from her every single day that she's in this. So I had to make the first podcast about her because if you guys don't know her, she went from, we're going to get into it, but basically she went from selling clothes she didn't want to now she's going to quit her job soon and make this a full-time thing. What I want to go over today is really just Roxy. I've seen her scale from really, like I said, selling things out of her closet she didn't want to now. I mean, you're probably going to hit more than 6 figures this year, I can imagine, and you're doing it pretty flawlessly. I wanted to kind of showcase that story, talk about your background, how you got into this, challenges that you've noticed while doing this, because I know I've been there for some of that, and it's been fun.
Definitely.
And then, and obviously, like, you're a breadth of knowledge for anybody that's seen you on lives. You're amazing at what you do. So anything that you've come across over the years that you feel like someone might want to know about when they're starting this, we're gonna see if we can give people some of that insight that you have locked inside that noggin. So
I love that. I'm excited.
Yeah, so if you guys don't know, so this is Roxy, Shop with Roxy. You can go ahead, shout out your socials, where people can find you. I know you just got a website launch. Just a little teaser. So tell the world, who you are and where they can find you.
So much big news. So those of you guys who obviously don't know me, my name is actually Roxanne, but I do go by Shop with Roxy. My boutique name is now Shop with Roxy. I started out from nothing and I've created an amazing business, and I've honestly built up a very strong clientele of people who really come to not only buy clothing, but really support my brand. And I'm honestly so grateful for that. And there's been so many steps that have gotten me to where I am now. And I'm just really excited to share that with you guys. So as a little background, I've always loved shopping. I've always been a girly girl. I love clothing. I love fashion. I love all things, pink and fun. And, I love to just talk to people also. I've always been a people person. So something like this type of environment was really something that pulled me. And honestly, in the beginning, it really wasn't as social as I wanted it to be. It was more the shopping side of it. And I love to shop. So for me, it started probably when I was about 12, 13 years old, or maybe 15, when I really started I would buy clothes that I personally loved. I would wear it a couple of times and I realized I don't really want to wear this anymore. Maybe someone else might. Which is when I got introduced to the world of Whatnot. And then I realized that my trash could become someone's treasure. So, and I really noticed that there was already a lot of clothes that people didn't wear. And, I would get hand-me-downs from family members and things that I just wouldn't wear anymore, that I'm like, it's just such a waste to just get rid of it and throw it out. So why not either sell it to somebody or give it away? And I figured better chance to sell it to somebody, so this way I can make a little profit off of it as well. So I honestly started out, like I said, I was about 15 years old probably, and I started on an app called Vinted. I was literally selling things for $1.
I remember that.
$1 to $5. I thought I was making it rich.
Dude, I don't have to throw out my clothes anymore. I can put them on there and people are buying them for $1 each. Yeah. I've sold 2 bins. I was like, what?
Years ago, I still look back at my Vinted profile and I'm still in awe, because even though I was selling things for $1 to $5, like I look at it now as like, wow, like that, what I was doing then was like so scalable and I didn't even see it at that time. And honestly, like I said, I built up a really strong following there as well because they knew the quality of stuff that I brought was good quality stuff, trendy stuff, things that were really, really nice and were still in great condition. I would never sell people things that were, they always knew a certain quality to expect from me. So I remember I had probably over 1,000, probably 2,000 sales on there. And yes, it was small and mighty, but they were small and they got me to where I am now because it really, that side of selling and things like that, we come from a very entrepreneurial kind of family. My mom is a travel agent. She sells pens now. And it's just always kind of like been in our blood, I feel like. And when I went to school, I did get my bachelor's degree in business management, and I also continued on and I got my master's in business administration. So I've always been very pulled toward business because I love the whole model behind business and how they run, and that you're pretty much in control of your own success. And that's the beauty of reselling or any kind of business and entrepreneurial type of role, which is why when I was working in like my professional career, I've tried many different aspects of sales. I've tried things from retail to restaurant sales to hair care sales, which is when I was right before the pandemic. I actually was working in Olive Garden as a server, which I never thought I would get myself to that. But again, it was one of those sales roles that I kind of just fell into. And even though I didn't think it was where I belonged, it was, because it really helped me to build on my skills. And it really helped me to get that more hands-on and like thinking quick on my feet and knowing how to talk to people and communicate and not just hiding behind a screen all the time, or just, showing my face when I wanted to. It was more of like having to kind of be ready and know how to satisfy a customer's request.
What was that initial spark in your mind of I can actually make money off of this?
So what really initiated that spark was that before I was a seller, I was a buyer. And the truth is, like, I love fashion. Like I said, I love clothing. I love all things girly and beauty and all these kind of things. And I realized that there's so many people that are looking for these things, that just like I'm on these platforms looking for beautiful items that I may not find to be my style anymore, or not as trendy, or maybe don't fit me, somebody else may be in the same predicament and may need that stuff in place. So it's like, there would be even times that I would do trades where like I would, if somebody had something I wanted and they had something I wanted, we would trade. And that was the cool thing about it, was like, even though I wasn't actually on live selling these things, I created those relationships through chats and like through the app, that like I had a clientele on there, even though it wasn't really live selling like I'm doing now. So honestly, like I said, like what really initiated that spark and what really clicked in my mind was like, I don't have to just donate these clothes. People are out there that want these clothes and will appreciate these clothes because, maybe some people don't have the ability to go to a thrift store, or don't have the money to go to Macy's or to these stores and buy things. And there's already so much clothes in landfills, and these stores are mass producing clothing to begin with, that why not keep these clothes in circulation rather than putting into a landfill and creating more waste? So that was the moment it really, really clicked in my mind, was like, somebody may need this, because at the end of the day, I needed something. So there's always somebody that has a need, and you never know if you could satisfy that need with what you have.
Wow. So you're saying that you had like a purpose-driven mindset when you weren't even out of business. What were some challenges that you faced? Because obviously, I mean, we've seen over the years, people come and go. There's tons of people that they might have that initial purpose and then it might fizzle out, right? So how have you gone from, selling out of your closet to now where you're going to hit a six-figure mark doing it almost full time?
The big thing was that I was very used to like, texting somebody and telling somebody, hey, listen, this is what I have, and posting it, and kind of a lot of those other platforms that I was on, even though I did make a lot of sales, it would take a little bit more time because I wasn't putting that face time into selling my brand and showing my items and stuff like that. And honestly, it wasn't until, like I said, during the pandemic, right before the pandemic, I was working in a restaurant as a server, which really gave me, honestly, I was miserable half the time when I was there, but it gave me a lot of insight on really how to satisfy your customers and make sure that your customers are being put first. Because no matter what, if they're not happy, then you're not happy. Because without your buyers and without your customers and without your loyal clientele that you're building, you don't have a business. And that's really the foundation of it all. And that's why during the pandemic, after the restaurant shut down, like everybody else did, I kind of was like, okay, I'm bored at home. I already focused on my physical health. And now I want to start doing things and finding ways to have more financial freedom. I want to find ways to keep myself busy. And I already have these things in my house anyway. And I could still order things online. So why not give things a try and try different sales roles, because it's something that always gravitated toward me anyway. So that's when I started with the hair care company Monate, which I personally loved. I used their products and it was easy for me to sell it because, once again, just like clothing, I personally wear these things. So I was able to feel the effects, and I was able to really share my honest feedback and build those relationships again with my clients. And I was able to talk to them on FaceTime. I was able to post on social media. And honestly, I built a really strong platform of people who were looking forward to my content. And I was like, wow, I can really have a big impact on people. And this is an amazing feeling because, like I said, it is all rooted in the relationships that you make. So I was starting to meet people, even though everybody was stuck in their houses for a year or two. And, we had our own personal things that we were dealing with, the family and everything. There was still a way for me to connect and build those relationships and also help people by showing them a product that physically helped me and helped my hair and helped the quality of my life.
So like when you were first going through it, obviously there's sourcing and there's marketing yourself and there's the selling aspect of all these different things. Like for you, what were your biggest challenges in that? Like what really took you and you said, wow, I have to figure out how to get better at this and I have to learn and grow from it?
So something that really limited me a lot of times also is my confidence. And like I said, like when I was selling the hair care products, I knew that my only way of getting my message out there was through social media. And when I kind of overcame, and it took me about 6 months to really get used to being on camera and showing my face, because, there's times that we get down on ourselves and we're like, oh my God, what are people going to think of me? What if I make a mistake? And we overthink things in our mind and we get a little hard on ourselves, and we think that people are going to pick out little things about ourselves, which mostly it's us that do those things to ourselves, and people don't really see the quirks that we find in ourselves. So it took me 6 months to really get my face on screen and really start sharing my story and showing people the impact that these products at the time were having on me. And once I kind of overcame that, it opened a lot of doors for me because, like I said, there was times that confidence wasn't always my biggest thing. I struggled a lot with it at times, and it allowed breaking that wall and breaking that barrier really unlocked a lot for me, because it allowed me to really show my true self, and it allowed me to really show who I was and what I have to offer. But like I said, it took me 6 months. A lot of people, even on my show, people that I've met now through my reselling currently, people are like, I don't understand how you do it. I don't know how you get behind a camera and you talk to people, or you get on here and you have 30 people in your show. My nerves would kill me. It's like, I don't know how you do it.
Did you?
And like, honestly, the biggest challenge for me, like I said, was just getting rid of my negative beliefs and my negative mindset of feeling insecure and feeling like somebody's going to judge me. Like I said, it was something that I overthought for so long, and my mentor at the time would tell me, just go on, who cares, nobody's going to say anything about you, no, everybody's going to be so happy that you're sharing your story and you have so much to tell people, you have so many things to inspire people about. And I'm like, no, I can't. And like I would every single day I would try and get up and I would say to myself, I'm going to post today, and I would record that video and I'd be like, I look ridiculous, and I would delete it. And again, like I said, it took me 6 months to actually post my first story. And once I finally did that, and after like the first week or two, it was like I started getting messages from people. Oh my God, I love hearing your story. It inspired me. And I'm like, holy crap, like I really can make an impact. And that's honestly like one of my biggest challenges, in life and also in my business, that, I had to break that barrier in order to unlock the potential that I have now.
For someone out there that right now is maybe they have their first batch of clothes, right? Maybe, they went on a shopping spree and the clothes don't fit, or maybe they have a friend of theirs that has a store that they just acquired. So many ways people get into it. Like, what are some things that you would tell that person to really help overcome that 6-month challenge that you went through?
I mean, honestly, the first thing I had to do was worry about the relationship with myself. You know, it all starts with you. It doesn't start with your business. It doesn't start with the clothing. It doesn't start with a platform. The main foundation of it all, and what is rooted in how successful you will be in anything, is the relationship that you have with yourself and how you view yourself. So honestly, like I said, you know, there was a good 6 months to a year that we were kind of like stuck indoors and not doing anything. And I kind of had to like look at myself in the mirror and be like, okay, I can't really escape this anymore. I got to look myself in the mirror and I got to really say to myself, what do I have to do to make myself happy? And that's when I started doing a lot of things. I started doing a lot of journaling. I started doing a lot of reflections. I started really trying to heal the inner wounds that I had that kind of limited me. And we go through things in life that kind of cause us to feel a certain way and have insecurities. And these things are normal, and we're going to continue going through these things our whole life. You know, there's going to be things that they're going to come our way that we weren't expecting and that are going to throw curveballs in our life, and we're going to think we made progress. But if we don't continue to nurture that relationship with ourselves, everything else will fall apart. And, you know, for me, during the pandemic, like I said, I had to take a look in the mirror and I had to say to myself, what do I have to do to make sure that I can show up as my most authentic self? And for me, I kind of lost a sense of my identity. I didn't know what made me happy. Yes, I enjoyed selling clothing, but I didn't have hobbies. I had a good support system, but at the same time, it didn't matter because it wasn't the way people could tell me, you look great, you do this, oh my God, I love seeing you do this. But if I don't believe it in my heart and in my mind, it doesn't matter what anybody is telling me. So I had to do all that self-reflection. I had to do all that like self-care, you know? The relationship with ourselves is the most important relationship we're ever going to have in our life. So if we constantly see ourselves as like, oh, they're going to judge me, or they're going to think this, or I'm going to do this and I'm going to mess up, it's because we are limiting ourselves. It's not anybody else putting these things in our head. Think about the time, how many times you look at somebody else on social media or on anything, on TV and stuff like that, and you're like, wow, I want to be like that person. You know, there's a very small percentage of people that might say, oh, look at that person, but those are just haters. So you're going to have those people no matter what. And the bottom line is, like, if you take care of the relationship with yourself and you find that inner confidence and that inner light, you know, there's people out there that will see that no matter what and will not see the negative things. We're all going to make mistakes. We're human beings. We're not perfect. So there's times that we're going to screw up. But we got to embrace the screw up, because at the end of the day, it's going to lead us to even more success, because every screw up that we make will teach us a lesson that'll make us stronger every single day.
This is why I really wanted to do the podcast so much, right? Is, you know, most people, when they get into reselling, whether it be vintage, whether it be women's clothing, whether it be like a VHS seller, right? It doesn't matter. They always think that the hardest part of this journey that we go through is getting the product, right? And, you know, I can imagine the reason why you're not even probably talking about sourcing as a challenge is probably because you said, hey, this, the second you start looking for it, it pops up everywhere, right? It's almost
I
like
get
it's too
all day long. And I know how to find a bargain. Okay, you go right to that clearance rack.
Yep. But you know, that's the cool part, is like, you know, having and for anybody out there that has never been in Roxy's shows, this is someone that can go into a room of 20 to 30 strangers and within the hour know their first name, know what their favorite dress style is, their colors, what they like, have them on socials. They're like friends of yours, right? And it's cool to know that that person that comes off is so confident and so skilled at just creating conversation and building relationships and just being a genuinely good person to support and, you know, have a good experience. Like, actually go away and say, you know, Roxy is here for me and to make sure I look right. To think that there's a part of their journey that started with you looking in the mirror and being like, I don't know if I can dress myself, or I don't know if I feel confident. It just really like ties everything full circle when
It
people
does.
see you on live and they just go, oh my God, that confident girl that's commanding the floor for 12 hours at a time sometimes struggles to go live,
They
you
that is
know?
just staring at a camera and just like talking to nobody, just talking to a chat of like lines just moving and little pictures kind of popping up on the side.
Yep.
But that's
I
why
still
I
remember
tell,
the first time you told me, like, you're like, oh my God, you got to go live on this app. And I remember turning it on the first time and after seeing your lives, and I'm just like all I'm looking at is myself right now and these
yeah,
random names that are popping up. I was like, how does Roxanne makes it seem like she's talking to a community behind the screen? The only
yeah.
person I see is me.
I tell everybody all the time. I get people that say like such good things about, like they love my energy, they love hanging out in my shows. And the thing is, like, I enjoy hanging out with my people on my shows and like building those relationships with my buyers, and even just even people that don't buy from me. If people just want to hang out at my show and just have a good time and have good vibes, I do giveaways, I do fun things. I like to give back to people. It's not only about taking too. And that's why I tell people that you can't look at somebody. Everyone says like, oh, I want to be a seller. How do I start? How do I do this? You cannot compare your day 1 to my day 100. You don't know what I've gone through or what that person that you're looking
Or
at
your
saying,
or
I
your
want to
day
be.
4,000.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Started at 15, so I think that's about the right man. But yeah, like honestly, like, you can't really look at everybody else and say, why am I not like her? Or why am I not like him? Why can't I do that? Because all of us can do it. It just starts here and it starts here. And we have to just believe that we can do it.
Now, Roxy, here's the thing, right? So obviously, your skill set is in talking to the camera, talking to the people at home, and connecting with people, right? But you're also a business owner. You've been in the market for a while now. You've seen ups and downs, and you've tried out different platforms, and you've gone through style shifts where maybe there was different clothes that were, in fashion, right? So what have you noticed in the last, say, even, year, or how has the market developed?
So one thing I definitely noticed is when I first started, it was a lot of small, medium, large, extra large. And, there was times that I did gain some weight and I realized, wow, it really isn't that easy to find plus size clothing. And it's not always common for people to have size inclusive shops and, to cater to everyone. And that was something that, one of the biggest mistakes I made was that I was just obtaining clothes just to get quantity. I wasn't looking for quality. I wasn't looking for, I didn't know who my target audience was. And it wasn't until I really started going live and I started getting more requests and building a stronger audience that I started to notice that like there is a untapped market with plus size. And I honestly noticed that like I was sitting on a lot of my smaller sizes, and something that I've, building relationships and stuff like that, I've always loved, but also being size inclusive and not leaving somebody out is also something that I really feel is very important. And for me, a lot of times when I would go into a lot of shows and I would look into a lot of stores, I couldn't find things that would fit me. I would go in and I'd go into the fitting room and I'd be like leaving the store annoyed because I felt like I was 500 pounds, like I felt like I couldn't fit in these clothes. And, as somebody who's, let's say 16 at the time or 18 even, and, you want to dress cute and trendy, it's kind of hard to find clothing that is flattering, cute, youthful, and also size inclusive. So the biggest thing, and like what my biggest struggle was, honestly, too, was that I realized that I was attracting I like to make sure that my customers find what they're looking for. And because these smaller clothes were a little bit easier to obtain and more accessible, I really started trying to get more quantity when it comes to those. So what I kind of shifted and what I kind of learned and noticed with my reselling and just in general, being in the fashion kind of world, I noticed that I needed to kind of do something that would set myself apart from everybody else. And I feel like even now, that's what kind of sets me apart, is that I don't want to have somebody come on my show and say to me, hey, I don't have, that size for you. I like to have that welcoming and that inclusive kind of environment where nobody feels left out because they're a little bit chunkier or a little bit skinnier, And that was something that I noticed about the market that I thought, traditional sizing, small through extra large. And then when I hit that threshold where I went into like 1X's and 2X's, I started noticing that the variety kept slimming, and I was like, okay, well now I'm kind of limited on what I can wear. And I don't want to maybe shop at, a lot of these older stores that, would sell a lot of plus sizes. And that's when I started really doing more research and finding more places that I can get these really cute, trendy items. And I figured if I want it and I've gained some weight or I have a little bit extra meat on me, there's people out there that need that stuff and they don't have the accessibility just like I didn't. That's one of the biggest things I noticed about the market that was lacking and that I feel sets me apart from everybody else in, a lot of other people in the community.
I agree. It's crazy too, because a lot of times people think that that's only with the woman's side. I've even seen that that's a big reason why I've dug so much into vintage is how many thousands of dollars do you spend at retailers for a slim fit or the athletic cut This retailer just launched the new athletic slim taper line, and then all of a sudden you realize that really threads are just measurements and fabric, right? That's really all it comes down to. And there are people out there that might need a larger measurement and a smaller measurement. And the second that you can customize that and be more hands-on with it and learn who your audience is, like I have people that come into my shows all the time that almost have my exact measurements because they know that, hey, if they go to me or if they go to your for plus size, right? They know, hey, I'm gonna get that shirt in the mail. I'm gonna get that dress in the mail. I'm gonna put it on. It's gonna feel so good because everybody knows that feeling in the dressing room. We are going through 17 hangers, and all of a sudden you're like,
I'm the problem.
yeah. But
Like,
it's cool
no,
how
you're
you've
not.
taken that as your market, right? That I've seen that in your shows, even like learning, even trying things on for people and learning what's flattering and not flattering, and I love that. It really shows like how you can take the customer base that supports you and really learn from them, so you can actually become like someone that is the a disruptor to the market, right? Like, hey, forget about the stereotypical sizing chart. Like, if with you when you're with me, I'm actually your
We got it
partner in this
all.
process, right? I love that. What are some tips you would give someone that's just starting out, right? They just got, an approval on eBay or Poshmark. They just got approved on whatnot. They have something in their house and they have an idea, right? What tips would you give that person that's just starting out now?
I mean, the biggest thing, honestly, like I always say, it starts with you, is be yourself. Don't try and look at other sellers and watch other people and think, I want to be that person. Because being somebody else is not going to be you showing up as your most authentic self. People are looking to see who you are. There's a lot of people, even on the app that I sell on, that sell a lot of the same fashion. But what I'm confident in and what I've noticed is that you have to find what sets you apart from everybody else. And by you being yourself is going to show up to everybody else. If you're trying to be somebody else, first of all, you're trying to take somebody else's idea, which isn't always great either. But also, not only that, but you want to be what?
I said cheat copying and stealing.
Exactly. But the biggest thing is like just show up as you. Don't think you have to coach yourself and try and be like these big sellers that are selling, thousands of dollars a show. Start with what you have. Don't try and, think about first day on, you're like, I need to buy pallets. No, you don't. You don't need to do that. You shouldn't do that, honestly, because of the fact that you want to warm yourself up and you want to start learning. Like I said, you're going to build that clientele by being yourself. And you want to learn not only what you want to sell, but what your buyers want you to sell. And I feel like as you kind of show up being yourself, I would say the biggest thing is don't try, like I said, don't try and invest in the beginning a huge amount of money, because the bigger you invest, the bigger possibility for either loss or gain, of course. But you don't want to put yourself in a hole just to get started. You want to first get your feet wet. You want to kind of, when you go into a pool, what do? You're trying to put your toes in. You're like, okay, this is a little cold. Let me slowly get in. You're not going to, some people jump in, but, some people take the approach of just saying, you know what, I'm going to just get my feet wet, feel it out, and then take it from there and take it one step at a time. Don't try and jump from step 1 to step 100, because there's lessons in between those steps that you're going to have to learn to get you to be successful at that level 100. And honestly, that's something I had to learn, was because, in the very beginning, I would watch other sellers and I'd be like, oh my God, I want to be just like that person. I want to own a warehouse right now. I want to, start doing pallets, and I want to quit my job. And, honestly, it's not always realistic. Like I said, there's always that strain of people that want to just take their own path and they want to just risk it, and that's totally fine. But my personal opinion, especially if you want to take the safe route and you're not really familiar with the industry yet, is take it one step at a time. Show up as yourself, be kind to people, build that personal connection with your buyers, because day one, you're going to have, let's say, 5 people in your show or 5 people that buy from you. You want to make sure that you are giving those 5 people your utmost attention and the best quality experience. If you have 200 people in your show the first day, and I know there's even like, I'm referring to Whatnot right now because that's where I'm primarily selling on. But I know there's people that all the time they go into these big streamers and they say to themselves, oh, I wish I had 200 people on your show. The thing is, when you start small and you build that foundation and you build those relationships at the bottom, you're going to have those loyal people that are going to keep coming back to you. And step by step, you're going to keep building that clientele. And day one, you might have 5. But you want to know something? You're going to retain those good customers if you're kind to them, if you offer a unique experience that is something that they don't find anywhere else. And then the next show, they're going to tell their friends. And then they're going to tell their friends and they're going to tell their family and they're going to share the show or share the listing with you or share your closet, share your website, in my case right now. But it really takes steps. Don't try and jump from one thing to another. Take each step and learn through it. You're going to make mistakes, embrace them, because the mistakes are what's going to help you to get to the next step. And it's going to help you to learn things not to do and things to do. Because there's been plenty of times that I've invested my money and I'm like, I'm going to make it and I'm going to do this. I remember I'll use my example for my first thing that I started watching all these people that were selling new at tags, things on Whatnot. And I'm like, oh my God, they're doing a killing. They're selling things for like $45, $30, this. And I didn't know what the heck I was doing. And I'm like, I have all these little, $1, $5 starts that I was doing on my show. And I'm like, no, I'm going to be like those people. And I went to the store. And I went to stores like Marshall's and stuff like that I'm like, oh, they still have bargains for new at tags pieces. And I went and I was buying things for $8, for $15, for $20. And I'm like, I know, I figured it out. And I'm watching these people thinking to myself that I had it all figured out. And I remember exactly the day. Like, I feel like I can envision myself that day. And I went live, I took the time, I loaded my store, but unfortunately I didn't have people that knew my name. I didn't have that loyal customer base like I do now, that they now trust the people that I have now, that no matter what I bring, I could be bringing something completely left field in my next show, but they know now that what I'm bringing, they know the quality because of what I've shown them in the last 6 months and now 3 years that I've been on Whatnot. But like I said, that one show that I went on, I thought I figured it out. I watched somebody else that was selling new at tags pieces and they were buying pallets. And I'm like, I could do this. I could just buy new at tags in the store and I could sell it. And I remember I put things in my store for like $25. I'm like, I'm still giving them cheaper than what these people are selling them for.
Started counting the
and
profits.
I had 0 sales.
No.
0. And I was like, what the heck? I didn't understand it. If they can do it, why can't I? But what I didn't think in my mind is how did they get to that point of being able to sell those items to those people and having those 200 people in their show that trusted them enough to spend that money and know that the quality that they're bringing is top notch. And now I look back at it and I say to myself, I was crazy because I had 5 people in my show that had no idea who Shop with Roxy was, that now, because I've taken my time and I've built those relationships and I've shown them time and time again that I'm not here to bring them quantity. I'm here to bring them good quality items for a good deal, because I even know, because I'm a buyer, that I will never try and upsell somebody for more than what they can find it for online or from the store. So now they've come to know that I'm going to bring them a bargain and I'm going to bring them great quality items. So now I'm able to actually scale enough that I can run my items like that at those prices. But I didn't start there. I didn't start at that time. I didn't start at that point. I had to start from running things at $1. I didn't run things at $1. I ran things like $5. And then slowly I moved up to $8. And then slowly I moved up to $10. And now I've gotten to the point where I'm now opening up my own boutique, and now I've opened my own website. And from different steps that I've taken, I've scaled enough that I've built that strong foundation of people who now know my brand, trust my brand, and look forward to what I'm bringing in the future. And I actually have chills as I say that, because it's crazy to think that 3 years down the road, I now have my own website, and it's just crazy.
I wouldn't be in this if it wasn't for you, because I remember running my cafe and, hearing about how Roxanne's making $1,000 a week right now selling her clothes. And I remember going, that's a lot of money for her clothes. What is she selling? And I just remember going on her live and just going, damn, she's good at it. And now to hear, it really comes full circle, learning about how, the first step is looking in the mirror, overcoming the challenge of going live and having the confidence. Everybody has that challenge. I mean, unless you're someone out there that just has
I still have that
the
challenge.
cockiest, right? Like they go live and they're just like, I'm born to be on this channel. I was born to look myself in the face and go live today. It's crazy. And when people go in your lives now and they see you interacting with people, it'll really come full circle on how a person can start selling things out of their closet at 15 years old for $1 a piece to now having a boutique, launching a website, having, wholesale deals where you could run a pallet and learning throughout this process that you have a brand and that you didn't just start this to make a profit, right? You started this to start a journey, to grow as an individual, to build something that you're proud of and you're excited about. And I'm excited just to be your brother in this, right? So for everybody out there, Rox, tell everybody, what the future holds for you. What are the next, tell about your website. This is your time to just tell everybody, how can they find you? How can they support you? How can they buy some dope dresses, and how can they just meet you? So the floor is yours. Tell the people that are watching.
So like I said earlier, something that really, really helped me and to really kind of level up my business was an amazing app called Whatnot. And I'm not sponsored. I'm not telling you this because I'm getting paid to. I just honestly, it changed my life. And I know also I changed my own life because it wouldn't have happened if I didn't put the work in. But honestly, from going from somebody who used to sell things on a platform and sell things at $1 to then scaling to maybe, I started during the pandemic, and not only was I selling my hair care products, but I was also starting Shop with Roxy. 2021 during the pandemic was when I really started posting on social media more. I started talking about my brand and I started posting on my stories. I was doing story sales. I was doing lives where I would go on live and I would sell an item, and I had to do all of the back end work. I had to do the shipping, I had to do the processing, I had to do every little step. And to now find an app where literally I'm able to do the side that I like and show my face and meet those people and make those connections and sell my clothing that I love and that I find to be beautiful and trendy and unique, that all that back end stuff gets handled by somebody else. And it's a beautiful thing that, I think the pandemic definitely helped to really expand the reselling world a lot and kind of bring more awareness to it, because everybody was kind of, stuck on their phones. They're like, I can't leave my house. Nobody's going out. So let's use our phones and connect and find ways to make money and find ways to do things that are productive. And for me, that was my outlet. I started, like I said, on social media, and I really started building my brand, and I already shop. I already love to buy clothing. So I figured, why not share more of it and show my face, because I got used to showing my face more anyway with the, selling of beauty products. So I figured, why not showcase my brand more, go on live, showcase my pieces. And then when I started Whatnot, now about 3 years ago, like I said, I didn't start from being where I am now. It took steps and it took a lot of failures and successes and learning and, lots of different phases that I had to go through to get where I am now. But I definitely have built a really, really amazing, strong clientele of people that now I kind of have my own niche now. People know me as the girl who has the size inclusive clothing and is always trendy and gives amazing prices. And that's always what I aimed for, is because I want people to come in my show, find amazing, good quality pieces, and have that same feeling of going into like a thrift store and saying, oh my God, look at this gem I just found. Like, I don't want to make $1 million off of somebody. I want somebody to find something that they love and to really appreciate the beauty of it, rather than it going into a landfill and getting wasted. I want somebody else to be able to appreciate and enjoy that item just like I do. So for me, just to give a little bit about me, like I said, I'm on Whatnot. So you guys can find me on Whatnot, Shop with Roxy on Whatnot, and on Facebook. No, I'm sorry, not on Facebook. You could also find me on Instagram, but you could also find me on my website, shopwithroxyofficial.com. So a little plug right there. But yeah, I'm just really, really excited for this new chapter, because I've been doing reselling now since I'm 15, and it's been a long time. I've definitely learned a lot, and I didn't ever think that I would get to where I am now. But looking back, even just 3 years ago, from where I was when I started on Whatnot to where I am now,
It's okay.
having a really strong support system behind me and having those people that come to my shows and look forward to seeing me and seeing what I have to offer them. There's times that before I even start my show, I see people in my show, 5 people in my show already waiting for my show to start. And that makes me so grateful, because there's so many other places those 5 people could be. But no, they're excited to come and see my brand and what I have to offer them, to spend their hard-earned money on things that I find beautiful, because they trust that I'll find things that are affordable and beautiful for them to also wear. So like you were saying earlier, I did scale my business, and it took a lot of work. It took a lot of discipline, honestly, because this is something I've been wanting to do for about a year now. And, it took honestly me kind of falling on my face and realizing that I can't always put all my eggs in one basket. I'm in control of my success. I can't point fingers at other people and say, I'm not doing well because of X, Y, and Z. I'm in control of that. So if I don't control those factors and I don't look for ways to increase and to benefit my business, I'm never going to be able to scale and be resistant enough to make it to where I want to be, to quit my full-time job and do this as a full-time income. And it's not until now that like I'm really, really seeing the big picture, and I'm really seeing a vision and a clear path ahead of me that I need to do. And I'm still not there yet. I still work full-time. I still work, I work as a project administrator for an engineering firm, which is whole left field from what I'm doing right now. But of course, it's that same building those relationships. So I do enjoy it. But of course, what I really, really enjoy is having that time on my, shows and things like that and building my boutique, which is why I am now thinking with intention. I'm not just thinking just to sell clothes. I'm thinking of how can I continue to set myself apart from everybody else and continue to build on my brand, which is why I'm going to really utilize social media more. It's so, so important to do that. And I'm telling myself right now while I'm telling you guys, because social media is like literally you can connect with so many people all around the world. And that's the beauty of this app too, is you can connect with people everywhere. And it's great because you show up, you are yourself, and people will automatically be gravitated to your energy and you'll find your people, which is honestly, like I said, what I did. And I'm just so grateful because now looking back from 3 years ago where I started to now, that I literally a month ago opened up my own website and have opened the door to so many new opportunities for myself. And not only for myself, but for my buyers too. It's something that's so exciting because now I don't have to worry about, oh my God, this one deal fell through. I'm in control of that, research, creating those contacts and everything, creating those relationships, first of all, doing the research, and second of all, reaching out. You miss any opportunity that you don't go for. You send those emails, you send, contact different companies. You don't know until you do the research and you figure out what do I need to do to get myself to point Z. I'm at point A, I want to get to point Z. What steps do I have to take to get me there? But at the end of the day, you're in control of that. So if you're not willing to go from step A to step B to step C, then it's never going to get to that endpoint. So if you're not in control and if you're not putting in those intentional steps to get you to where you want to be, you have to start today. Don't overthink it. Don't think, oh, well, I'll do tomorrow, because I was in that position too. And I told myself, yeah, I have this opportunity. I'm fine. I don't need that opportunity right now. But the time is going to come where even if you don't learn it at that moment, like for me, I found a great opportunity and I thought that was it. I'm like, I can scale this. And then the second that opportunity fell through and I put all my eggs in one basket and I didn't do the research, I didn't put in the time to build those connections, to find other ways of making, being sustainable and finding new inventory, I got to a point where I hit a roadblock and I thought to myself, oh my goodness, I was doing so well for 6 months to now I hit a roadblock because I made a bad business deal and I got a bad mix of things, a bad mix of products, and I kind of was stuck with it. And I'm like, okay, it's either I let my business fall and I fall with it, or I learn to pivot and I have to find another route to make myself more sustainable and more, successful. And like I said, that's what I had to do. I had to do research and I had to put in the work and I had to put in the time to get myself to now where I have my own website. It took a lot of time. It takes money. But at the end of the day, whatever you get out of your business, sometimes you got to put back in to really get that benefit,
For everybody home, and Roxy, thank you so much for doing this. I just want to say, again, guys, you can find her, Shop with Roxy on Instagram. Drop the website one more time.
ShopWithRoxyOfficial.com.
Go on Instagram, go on Whatnot, Shop with Roxy. Guys, this was such an amazing episode. Just know Thrift Talk is going to be about this. It's going to be about getting people to speak their piece about how they've went from 0 to 6 figures, how they've developed brands, how they've created communities, and people like Roxy that started out, selling out of their closet to now they're scaling a 6-figure. So, I didn't want to make this just about, hey, we're going to give you some tips on how to start posting your shirt on eBay, right?
We're here to tell you the real deal.
I want you guys at home to really know like what's going behind the scenes of the minds that you're seeing on lives, on Instagram, on website drops. Because really for me, that's why this podcast is so important. It's for that person at home that doesn't know how a person goes from 0 to 100. You've just heard the mindset of someone that's done. And hopefully you guys can take more from the experiences, the lessons, the challenges, Roxy's goals and her ambitions, and just her mindset around what this is for her. And guys, I can't wait to have more of these. Thank you so much for showing up, watching the podcast, listening to Roxy. Thank you so much, Roxy, for being on here. I love you guys. You guys are amazing. We're going to be doing weekly podcasts, so expect that we're going to be on YouTube, Spotify. We are going to be launching everywhere, guys, including the Instagram with highlights. So guys, I hope you learned something today. I hope this encourages you to look at that person in the mirror. 6 months
You got that.
Roxy.
You got this.
Maybe tomorrow is your start. So I love you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, see you soon.
Bye, guys.